I don't have any.
I had another question.
Uh-huh.
A bit where some of the opportunities for appeal. Term not. Necessarily that formal, where that's now been withdrawn and there are two specific instances.
Mm-hmm.
What's behind that? What's the logic? What are they trying to achieve?
You want to help?
Yeah, I think I can speak to that. Colin probably can too. Sort of writ large at a very high level. That's not something that's required to be in the code. Those local appeal options aren't required to be there. We have some criteria in the code. I mean, pre these amendments that the council ultimately adopts them that really limit the circumstances in which that discretionary appeal can be allowed. And it is almost always the case that those conditions, those circumstances are not met. One of them is that the appeal, the thing that somebody is trying to get council to hear can't adequately be heard by the Land Use Board of Appeals. The Land Use Board of Appeals exists to hear these kinds of appeals, so it's almost never the case that staff, when they take in an appeal, can actually say to council, LUBA, the Land Use Board of Appeals, can't hear this as well or maybe better than you can. So 99.9% of the time, staff's position is the criteria aren't met, can't be met. Don't hear this, just let it go to LUBA, which exists to hear this kind of appeal. And from my perspective, and this is really just my opinion, having this in the code and having that almost always be the answer that, or the recommendation that council, you should say no and just let LUBA deal with it. That can lead to some, like unrealistic expectations from sometimes community members who think council should hear something and maybe do something different, but it's almost always going to be better addressed by LUBA. And even if council did take up a discretionary appeal under the existing code and somebody's unhappy with it, then it goes to LUBA. So it tends to, I think, draw things out, delay a final resolution, and I think kind of lead to some land use term bad vibes, because staff's recommendation is always don't spend city time on this, let LUBA deal with it. So it's kind of a needless and maybe even kind of problematic.
So there is an avenue, it's LUBA.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.